So who should be registered? Any individual or firm buying or selling from an established place of business. Any individual offering business other than his or her own name. So let's say, for example, John Brown, as you see on the screen, is operating a business. He in himself does not need to be registered if he's operating under John Brown. However, if he's operating as John's Accounting or John's Farming Services, that needs to be registered with the Companies Office of Jamaica. Or any company operating a trade name. So let's say, for example, we have Restaurants of Jamaica and they're operating as KFC, Pizza Hut, and all these things. Or you have the trade winds operating as True Juice. The trade name, the trading as name would need to be registered with the Companies Office of Jamaica.
Hello, Throppers, and welcome back to another video podcast episode. And if this is your first time visiting, a special welcome to you. My name is Winthrop Wellington, and I'm the host of On Deck with Throp, where we have meaningful conversations with people from all over the world, all about Jamaica. And today's special episode, it comes from my annual Jamaica Investment Conference, Throp-X 2022. And this one is about starting a business in Jamaica. And if you're at all interested in getting into an entrepreneurial venture here in Jamaica and starting your own company, this is definitely the panel discussion and video to watch. We have expert Toni-Ann Stewart-Alexander from the Companies Office of Jamaica, and she gets into the real nitty-gritty of what it takes and what is required to start a company in Jamaica. And I think she does an excellent job of breaking everything down, including a PowerPoint presentation as well. And she was a real asset to the entire weekend and to the entire week that we had. That was Throp-X 2022. And just a brief PSA letting you know that Throp-X 2023 tickets are available for sale on the thropx.com website, so you can get your tickets there. It's definitely going to be a bigger and better one than it was in 2022. As successful as it was, we've actually extended the days, 2 more days of more fun in the sun, if you will. And of course, we are trying to deliver as much value as humanly possible during this conference in November. And I hope you will be able to join us then. With no further ado, please enjoy this presentation from the Companies Office of Jamaica.
Today, I will be speaking on registration and obligations. So it's understanding the business and or the company. Mm-hmm. All right, so a little about the COG. So we're actually an executive agency, and we operate under the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. We just came from under MICAF. And we operate and we oversee 2 types of registrations. That's companies and business names. We actually have 2 locations, one in Kingston, that's on 1 Grenada Way, Kingston 5. And the other one was recently opened in 2016 in Montego Bay, and we're operating from the Annex Plaza in Fairview, Montego Bay. I hope everyone is familiar with St. James. So are you serious about registering your business? Then prove it. So what are the benefits of registering? 1, you are actually allowed to advertise. 2, it actually shows that your business is legit. You are able to open a bank account, similar to what our banker spoke about earlier. It actually allows you to open said account. You actually are allowed to have access to grants and loans. It inspires confidence and goodwill. And your entity name is advertised on the Companies Office of Jamaica website and is available for everyone globally to see that you are actually registered. So who should be registered? Any individual or firm buying or selling from an established place of business. Any individual offering business other than his or her own name. So let's say, for example, John Brown, as you see on the screen, is operating a business. He in himself does not need to be registered if he's operating under John Brown. However, if he's operating as John's Accounting or John's Farming Services, that needs to be registered with the Companies Office of Jamaica. Or any company operating a trade name. So let's say, for example, we have Restaurants of Jamaica and they're operating as KFC, Pizza Hut, and all these things. or you have the trade winds operating as True Juice. The trade name, the trading as name would need to be registered with the Companies Office of Jamaica. Mm-hmm. Who does not need to be registered? Anyone buying or selling livestock. Martin spoke about it earlier. Regular farmers, they don't have to be registered with the Companies Office of Jamaica because they can go directly through RADA in order to operate their business. Persons occupying public market stalls, they go directly through the parish councils. You have persons who are established for social welfare. They don't have to be registered with our office because they can go directly through the Department of Cooperatives and Friendly Societies as a benevolent society. So those you'd consider charities. When you're choosing a name, so first and foremost, when you're thinking about doing a business, you want a name that is catchy, something that persons will gravitate towards quickly. So pointers when you're choosing a name. So prior to the registration, one, you have to decide on something that is suitable, something that is not too outrageous in the public, that will cause uproar. That's one. Or two, you can ensure that the name that you are operating under is not close to anything or anyone else's name that will cause confusion in the market. So you can conduct a proper name search on our website, free of cost. Or if you want to come to the office, you can do so at a cost of $500 to do the search. Or you can stay at home and from the comforts of your home, conduct the free one as well. And note, if it's a case where a name is available, you are able to reserve a company name for up to 180 days. And it's $3,000 to reserve a name for a 90-day period. And you're only allowed up to 2 reservations consecutively, because you would need to be ready. You'd actually have to register that name within that period of time. You do have persons who may want to evade, and that's to just keep reserving the name because they don't really want to start operating. But within that 180 days, you must decide what exactly you plan on doing. So justification of a name. So there are certain words that would require justification. So the word crown, the word princess, queen, you would have to justify this because it will seem as if you are a part of the royal family. But as Emma said earlier, persons in Jamaica, we have nicknames, right? So somebody named Queenie, she named Queenie, and my mom called me Princess. Yes, so therefore that is some form of a justification as to why I'd want to call my business Princess Toni-Ann. Because my mother called me Princess and nobody can tell me that I'm not a princess. So on the form, you would indicate just the justification, my nickname, right? So that would be justification enough for the registrar of companies. Also, if it's a case where certain words that would imply that you're a part of a government, you'd have to justify those words or a part of the Commonwealth. Things like those would require some form of justification.
Can I interject a little bit? In terms of that justification, is that form included up front or that's something that comes in a secondary manner? When I'm applying for...
No, and it's something that's written on the form.
Okay.
So there's a box on the form that asks for justification. You just write it in there.
Okay.
All right. In addition to that, there are certain professions. Once it is that you're using them within the name or even offering the service, you must provide certain form of justification. So if you're an engineer, you must be registered with the Board of Engineers. If it's a case where you're providing medical services, you must be registered with the Medical Council. If it's a case where you're providing legal services, you must be registered with the Jamaica Legal Council. Because at the end of the day, you want it to be a case where you're providing these services, the public has no second guess. They're not second guessing whether a case that you are authorized to do so, you're actually valid in providing these services, or you are held accountable when it comes on to these professional services. Because when you're charging the big bucks, you must know what you're doing, right? And as such, this is just a means to safeguard the public to ensure that these persons are actually legitimate in terms of providing these services. So choosing the type of enterprise that you want to do, whether it's a case you want to do it as a business name or it's a case where you want to register as a limited liability company. So it's really dependent on you, your personality, basically the size, your tax obligations, the statutory requirements that you're going to be filing, what exactly you want to do with the business, what exactly the service you're providing. If it's a case of something small, or is a case where you want to protect yourself legally, or you want to do something large. So depending on you, your personality, and who you are, and what exactly you plan on doing in the public, this will determine the type of structure that you intend to operate under. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start with company incorporation. All right? So what is a company? So this is actually a commercial enterprise that is governed under the Companies Act 2004. So one, it enjoys perpetual succession. So therefore, a change in the membership, if say, for example, the director passes, God forbid, or a shareholder dies, the company still goes on. The company does not die once it is that there's a change in the membership. Two, being an artificial entity, it is managed by natural persons. Three, the property is owned by the company and not the individual. So therefore, because it's an artificial person, it is able to buy a land, it is able to open a bank account, it is able to buy a car, it is able to own property and transact business in and of itself. It's just that it's run by natural persons. Mm-hmm. It's also wound up in accordance with the Companies Act. And it is a legal and separate apart from its members. It enjoys limited liability in that, say, for example, Amma has a company and she says, okay, Toni-Ann, give me $500 and I'll give you 500 shares within my company, right? I only have $300 out of the 500. So I say, Amma, I only have $300. Here's the $300. So my liability will only be up to the $200 in which I have not paid. So I am secured legally where the 300 is concerned. Clear so far? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what documents are required when you are doing a limited liability company? You need the articles of incorporation. So whether it's a Form 1A, B, C, or D, the business registration form, a valid government-issued ID, the arrival documents in terms of your TCC, such as the bill of lading, if it's a case where you have a container on the wharf to come in, and at least one responsible officer that must possess a local TRN. So even if you are American citizens, once it is at least one of you has a local TRN, you are able to open a limited liability company.
Well, David.
All right, so the articles of incorporation. So what is that? That is actually the legal document that outlines one, the company name. It outlines the directors, who the shareholders are, who the company secretary is, what governs the company in terms of also the services that you're able to provide, the shareholders, and who the beneficial owners of these shares are. So the forms that are used mostly within Jamaica are the 1A, which is for profit-making entities, 1B, which is for non-profit entities. Remember before, as I indicated, persons may not opt to come through the Companies Office, but go directly through the Department of Cooperatives and Friendly Societies. But for those who decide to come through the Companies Office, they would use the Form 1B to register their non-profit entities. So remember, only entities choosing to operate as a limited liability company would file their articles of incorporation. And a picture of the articles would have been on the screen. Okay. So what is your obligation as a company director? And who are you? So you actually manage the day-to-day operations of the company. So you are actually directed by your shareholders because the shareholders are who you're working for. You're trying to ensure that they get the best on their return on investment. So whatever decisions you make, you are guided by them in terms of running the organization on a daily basis to ensure that at the end of the day, they benefit from the shares or the money that they have invested in these companies. So your obligation is to ensure that you file all the obligations for the company. So anything related to the tax office, anything related to the Companies Office, ensure that you have sorted everything out and there's no stone left unturned when it comes on to government filings. All right. Another officer of the company is the company's secretary. So this person actually ensures that correct statutories are kept up to date, the papers are drafted, dividends are paid, the meetings are called. And remember, it is a case where you have two persons who are in the company, one can act in the capacity of the company's secretary. If it's a case where there's only one director, you must have another person acting with you as the company's secretary. So unfortunately, there is no one-man show when it comes on to a limited liability company. It needs at least two persons, one to act in the capacity of director, the other to act in the capacity of the company secretary. If there are two persons, then one can act in said capacity. So the certificate of incorporation. So that shows that the company is actually in existence. It is produced within 4 days. Once it is that properly completed documents are produced. So once everything is completed accurately and the forms are in terms of eligible, because at times, persons tend to want to just fill out the form and then you can't understand a word that is written on the form. Right. So once it is that the forms are clear, it is scanned and everything is completed accurately, then you will get your certificate within 4 business days, and that's a guaranteed service time. Once you receive your certificate, you will get your NIS, TRN, a company number. You'll be registered with HART. You'll be registered also with NIS, and you will get a free 90-day TCC. Once it is that the 90 days has expired, then what you'll have to do is just get clearance letter from NIS, NHT, and HART, take those to the tax office, and you'll get your updated TCC.
Repeat the things that you get when you register again for me.
NIS, TRN, a company number. You're registered with HART Trust, and you get a free 90-day TCC. And the TCC is a tax compliance certificate.
Mm-hmm. And just to go back on that point in terms of submitting, do you have to go to the location in either Kingston or Montego Bay, or can it be done on your website?
Yes. We also offer the service on our website. You create an account free of cost. You submit the name online. Once you get an approval, the portal becomes open for you to complete the form. So the physical form will be in a digital format, and you just complete it, put in your valid email address. You're going to be sent a special code that you put in, which will be your digital signature. And the certificate is produced within 2 days.
So you don't need to see the company seal or stamp or have a JP authorize anything?
No, but even with the forms, physical forms, we actually no longer require JPs or anything to be sorted. Back then, before the business registration form was introduced, persons used to have to complete 5 different forms. The Form 1A, the Form 2, 17, 20, and 23. All 5 forms. And the Form 2 used to have to be stamped by a Justice of the Peace, which was a declaration. Now, all of that has been eliminated, where the Companies Office has now become a one-stop shop. Only 2 forms are required, and you're actually registered with all the government entities.
Good.
And that also can be done online. So you don't have to come into the office at all to open your business or your company. You can stay for the comfort of your own home and register your company. Or you don't even have to come in and pick up. You can request Tara to pick up for you. And it is taken right to your doorstep. All right, so when the forms and actually the fees. So accessing the forms. So one, you can either download, if you want to physically come into the office, you can download the form free of cost on the website. You can complete it, take it into office, or 2, you can purchase the form at the office at a cost of $200. The same samples that are available on the website. If you want, many persons can actually sit at home. There are samples of dummy companies on our website that you can use as a guide in completing your form. So if it's a case where you don't want to go through an accountant or you don't want to go through a chartered secretary, the choice is yours. We have samples also on the website that you just have a blank form. You just match the information, replicate it, put in your personal information, and take it into the office and submit it. And even on our online portal as well, you also have how-to, which are YouTube videos, which gives you step-by-step instruction on completing the forms on our website as well, creating the account, every single thing at your fingertips. So the cost to register and incorporate a company is $24,500. So it's $24,000 for the incorporation, $500 for the stamp duty. So before, persons used to have to go to the stamp office to get their article stamped. No, that's no longer the case. Stamping is also available at the company's office, and this $500 is included into the fee of $24,500.
If I'm submitting online and I have a US account, how does that work?
Well, the thing is, it's converted because you're just using a credit card or a Visa debit card. So therefore, the conversion in terms of the monetary rates, that will be dependent on your bank. Because it's just regular, you're shopping on Amazon, you just add to a cart, and then you just check out. And then
I love where she went. It's like on Amazon, right? But okay, so it's fine to use an overseas credit card to do these kinds of payments.
Yes. If it's a case where you're coming into office, same day express is offered, but that's only in Kingston at an extra cost of $6,000. Or it's a case where you have next day express at an extra cost of $3,000. For Montego Bay, we only offer a 3 working day express. That is our express time because it takes into account the documents being taroed to the examination unit in Kingston. Right.
When you say, for example, since we're closer to Montego Bay on this side of the island and I pay for 3-day express service, so from the day that I submit, you're saying on that 3rd day, I'm getting my certificate?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, you just come right to the office and it will be presented to you. Once it is that the forms are properly completed and everything, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
What if a section was incorrectly filled out or there was an error? How do you communicate with me that something is wrong?
So in two ways. So one, once you have an email address on the application, then a push message is automatically sent from the system advising you that an error was made on the document. You have to come in to fix. Once it is that document reaches the Montego Bay, our office will call you and indicate, okay, or send an email indicating this is wrong with the application. It is something simple for us to fix. Would you like us to go ahead and fix it for you? Please send us an email granting us permission to make the edits on your behalf. If it's a case where you want to come in to make the correction, because suppose you didn't pay for express at that time, and at the time of resubmission, you want to expedite it at that point in time. So you physically want to come in to do the express at that point in time. Then the document will be there. We'll let you know once we ever receive the document. You make the correction, and at that point in time, you're able to pay for the express. The Montego Bay office, though, is a cashless office. So therefore, you'd have to use a debit card or a Visa debit to make payment, or regular credit card, or you'd have to make a deposit at the bank or do wire transfers online. And then you just print the confirmation and we're able to process the application for you. Kingston is both cash and non-cash transactions. What is your obligation? So once you are a limited liability company, you must file an annual return. This is not the same as tax office returns. Persons often mix it up because once they hear return, the only thing they think about is tax office. So no, this is our annual return outlines the information that would have been placed on your incorporation documents, which would have been the name of your company, the directors, who the shareholders are, if you're operating from the same location, the beneficial owners of the shares. All that information is captured. So nothing that has to do with the income or expenditure is listed on our annual returns. So you are listed on the register of companies that is accessible globally to everyone. And as such, you have the annual return will indicate that, okay, for this company, no changes have been made. All of this information is the same. These are the same directors, the same shareholders, same share capital that the company started out with. All that information is what is captured on our annual return. When is it due? It is due on your anniversary date. So if, say, for example, you were incorporated on the 31st of December, your first annual return is due the 31st of December the following year. You get a 28-day grace period of which to file your annual return, of which if you don't file within that 28 days grace, then $100 per day is applied to your annual return fee. So where an annual return for a profit-making entity costs $5,000, many persons have faced up to $15,000 payment for an annual return because they're delinquent. So you get 28 days, which is almost a month, to only pay $5,000. So you get 28 days to fill out the form, to submit it with the Companies Office before you start incurring that $100 per day. All right? And this is in accordance with Section 121 of the Companies Act 2004. So many persons may ask, so you can't waive the fees. Boy, you know, say nothing now, go on. So it's like, we don't have an option. These are gazetted fees. And this is what the minister has advised us, that it's mandatory. So there's no way that the Companies Office can waive any of these government fees. So once it is that you know your anniversary is coming up, we even say, you celebrate birthdays, you put a note in your phone, say, okay, my wife's birthday is coming up or my husband's birthday is coming up. Put a note in your phone, okay, the Companies Office, the anniversary of your company. You felt good when you formed your company, don't you? Show off your certificate and say, Ray, I'm formed. So it's like a birthday, it's like an accomplishment. So you put a notification in your phone that, okay, the birthday is coming up for the company. So you have your return to file, and you have all of 28 days in order to get this document completed and submitted with the Companies Office.
So on that point, why is it that the Tax Administration Office and the Companies Office can't just use one form? Because I have to file with Tax Office for sure. So why do I have to again file with you?
Because it will capture two different things. So the tax office captures your income, how much it is that you're earning, how much it is that you are actually, paying for your statutories for your employees, and how much it is that whether they made a profit or a loss. We don't capture none of that information.
I just tack on a little paragraph that says none of my directors have changed. My address is the same. Ting, boom, government on a link.
I think maybe they're working on it, but not sure when that is going to take place.
Please put that on the agenda.
So with regards to the companies, the forms. So for the annual return, you file a Form 19A for the profit-making entities, and the cost is $5,000.
Right.
For the non-profit, you file a Form 19B. That is $2,000. Yes, only $2,000. Huh? Yes, man. Remember,
charity.
Remember, you're on the list of registered entities globally. And as such, it only outlines the name of the company, where you're operating from, who your director is, and who your secretary is. That's on the non-profit form, because the profit-making lists your shares as well. And well as for the Form 19C, these are the overseas companies that opened a branch of their operations locally. So they file a financial statement, and an annual return, the cost for that is $7,000. All right. So when you're filing your annual return, similar to what I said earlier, if it's a case where your anniversary date is December 3rd, you realize if you count 4 weeks down the line, it's 28 days, it lands on the 31st of December. And as such, your annual return will become due the 31st of December. When your late penalties start, the 1st of January. So $100 start the 1st of January, $200 the 2nd of January, and it keeps going up to... No, well, the thing is, you do have a lot of delinquent companies, I must say. But the thing is, it does not hint, well, you must file your previous annual return before your present one can be filed. Right? So you accumulate $100 per day. But the good thing, it maxes at 100 days. So it doesn't go beyond 100 days. So the maximum you pay for an annual return is $15,000. So it's $5,000 for the annual return, $10,000 maximum for your late penalties, according to the Companies Act currently.
That's nice. No, I had a personal experience where I closed down a partnership. So I think it was like a sole trader partnership. So I was finished with it, and I thought, listen, I'm done with that. I moved on with my life. Use the name now. It's a full LLC, moving on. And then the Companies Office was calling me about how I didn't submit. And I'm like, but I was done with that. No, the tax office called me and saying, and I was like, guys, I need one person to communicate. Like, you are calling me about something that I'm sure I closed down with the other entity, and they're saying I must pay. And yeah, I was like, listen, this is crazy.
So Winthrop, next time you're doing this, you need the tax office here as well. All right?
Yes. And I need both of you to say that we now have one form, because if we're going to be boasting that, we're improving how we do business globally, some of these things need to be streamlined as well. Because overseas, especially for our viewers or people who operate overseas, it's like one-stop shop. So if we're really going to be a one-stop shop, we need to put that in all aspects as well.
Good suggestion. I'll make note of it. When it is that you're a company and you need to be compliant, when it is that you're making changes. So if, say, for example, you have made changes to your directors, you must file the requisite form. That form is a Form 23. If you're changing the secretary, a Form 20. Changing the registered address, a Form 17. And as indicated prior, if it's a case where, not on the screen.
Oh, no. No.
Okay.
It's important. And time not fun shop nights with that. We felt the $15,000 payment because we started the business a year and a half. Didn't know that we had to do all of this.
Filing.
Mic check.
But the great thing about it is that when you incorporate, there's actually a package. So just as how Winthrop has put that nice little bag together for you, the Companies Office put a wonderful envelope in there for you, and it outlines $500 across the board. Yes.
Okay.
It's just one cost, $4,500. And it is broken down where it is $1,500 for the advertising fee and $3,000 for the process.
It's all right. So we're winding down because it's time.
Yeah, we're back now. I'm back on now, but
All right, so we're moving quickly now because we're given the timer. So the next one is business registration. All right, so that's the next enterprise in which you can choose to operate under. Business registration. So this is broken down in sole proprietor or partnership. Right. So what is a business name? So this is governed underneath the Business Name Act of 1934. So this is not a separate legal entity from the owners. So therefore, if anything happens to the proprietor or the partner, that affects the structure of the business name. So if, say, for example, you have a partnership and your partner decides that they no longer want to operate in business with you or just can't bother with you, right? And decide that, okay, I no longer want to be a partner. That is the end of the partnership. Automatically changes the structure of the business structure, and as such, you now move from a partnership to a sole trader, and as such, you have to close the partnership and reopen as a sole trader. So, and if one person dies, it automatically affects the structure as well, and as such, you have to close and reopen as a sole proprietor.
Close, file everything.
Yes, so then, and each person is equally held liable in terms of everything that happens within the business. The business is you are the business. It's not separate and apart. So therefore, if anything happens, God forbid, and you're sued, your assets are not protected under the business name as it would have been under the limited liability company. So therefore, your property is at stake. Your bank accounts are at stake. Your car is at stake. Anything that can be used to offset whatever it is that you owe will be used as collateral in terms of offsetting these debts that you may have incurred under the business name. All right? Moving along. So the property is owned by the proprietor and or partner equally. So therefore, remember the company would have owned the property earlier. For the business name, the individuals themselves, if it's a case where it's one person, that person owns the property. If it's a case where a partnership, it is equally, or if you're a case where you have a partnership agreement and if you decide it's want to be 60-40 or 50-50 or 70-30, it is as per your partnership agreement. And as indicated, it can be resolved by one person deciding, okay, I no longer want to be in business with you, and as such, we no longer have a partnership. All right. What the business certificate looks like. So therefore, you are guaranteed your certificate within 3 business days. And the cost to register a business, $2,500. And your certificate, it will bear your NIS, your TRN, your HART, and you've got a business registration number. So same statutory numbers that you would have gotten on the limited liability company is the same statutories you would have gotten on the business name. It's just that with a company, you get the free 90-day TCC, as opposed to the business name, you do not.
Do we have any questions on this differentiations?
You said card registration. What is that?
Hard trust employees. So also the certificate is valid for 3 years. So for a business name, you file your renewal every 3 years. For the limited liability company, you file an annual return every year. For the business name, you renew your certificate every 3 years. On the certificate, you will see the expiration date. So you have within 14 days before it expires to come in and do the renewal. If after the day has passed and it has expired, you pay $1,000 for a late penalty.
Not 100, 1,000.
$1,000 for the late penalty. What do you need in order to register a business? You need the business registration form. And if it's a case where you're a non-CARICOM national, you need a work permit, as Martin was saying earlier. And you need verification of your address. So your proof of your home address, you need a copy of your valid government ID, proof of certification depending on the type of business you're operating, such as medicines, attorneys, engineer, pest control, those services that you're providing, you must provide certification, and each person must provide a local TRA. All right, proof of your home address, what is used? Your voter's ID, your driver's license, bank statement, rent receipt, a voluntary declaration signed by a justice of the peace. That is what is used to validate your home address. For non-CARICOM national, what do you produce? A marriage certificate or your naturalized certification. So Martin knows if he wants to go ahead and open a business name, he just produces his naturalization certificate, and he will not have any problem opening a business in Jamaica, or a holiday work permit. And the work permit you would have got through the Ministry of Labor and, PICA is who you get your work permit through. Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency.
We're actually out for this segment, but do you have any questions on anything she has presented thus far? Anyone? All right, so let me take gentleman in a red shirt first.
Yeah, I started a business in 2016. It was retail, 3 years, but things went out. I got robbed, so I just closed up shop, moved there, and then I never did anything. So so it's still not closed then.
All right.
What's the latter day?
So hold on. You started in 2016.
2016.
You registered in 2016, and let's say 2017.
That's right.
Right. So 2017 closing. Physic causes door. What does a person like him do in a situation like that? What's the next step?
So you have the wonderful thing about it now, we have a COVID amnesty going on. Yes. We have a COVID amnesty going on, and you don't have to file much. You only pay for one of the outstanding renewal fees. So if you would have registered in 2016, you would have had your certificate would have expired in 2019, and then again in 2021, and then again in 2024, right? Which would have meant that you'd have 3 outstanding periods to file, so that would have equate to around $10,500 plus the $600 to close. The only thing you'd pay under the COVID amnesty is 1 renewal period and the closure. So you only pay $4,100, and you file the BN6 form, and then that will be it.
So, no, I don't know if sometimes there's miscommunication. So is he supposed to know there's a COVID amnesty, or when he goes into the office, they tell him automatically?
Well, we have been advertising on social media because the amnesty has been going on since COVID happened.
No, but I'm saying, so he didn't hear, and
then you would have been told once you come to the office to file.
Well, the only reason I know that there's a problem because I tried to start another business. And they told me that I have to either close that one or restart it. But I didn't know They didn't tell me what the penalties yet, so I didn't know what. But now I'm here.
Right. So you can file on the amnesty ends January 31st. 2023.
Wow.
It has been happening since our first COVID case happened, and we have been going on from 2020 until now. It's going to end 2023, and they're not extending it beyond the 2023 January because the government has indicated it has gone far too long. You had a question, sir?
So what I wanted to ask, if I have a company that is a trading house and I want to use the same business name, but I want to register now as a limited liability company, can I do both online? I think it will require closing out one, right?
Yes, you'd have to close. But the thing is, unfortunately, we don't have closures available online as yet. Right? So you'd actually have to submit the closure form in office, and then you can do the new registration same time at the office while you're there, or you can actually proceed to do the new company incorporation online.
So the closure form would require me downloading the form, filling it out. Do I have to physically be in office? Could I
No, you can't.
fill out the form, send it to the office, and then
Yes, you can either one, send somebody to the office with the form, or two, if you want to tar the form in, as long as you attach the payment to it, so you can make the payment online, and then you can print the PDF, attach it to it, and then submit it via Taro through our mail system, and we'll get it and we'll process it as normal.
How long after I submit the closure form would I be able to, would there be an indication, or is there a time here that I know by now I can know?
Well, the closure is instantaneous. So once you file the closure documents, if say, for example, it was being submitted in office, once you pay the cashier, you walk through the door, your business is closed from the system instantly.
So he could actually have the for the new one, right? So
That's what I'm saying. You can do it same time. So you can file the closure and your new company incorporation on the same day at the same time.
Right.
Thank you.
You are most welcome.
Any other question?
You said something about the and ongoing. I said renewal, so is it each 90 days to get that to renew it, or does that go?
No, so for the Companies Office, we only provide you with one free 90-day TCC. Once that expires, you as the director would need to either one, do it yourself, or to go through your accountant, if it's a case where you have an accountant, and then they now get the clearance letters from NIS, NHT, and HART. Once you get those clearance letters to say that you don't have any financial obligations, you don't owe them any money, then you get the clearance letters. You take those clearance letters now to the tax office, and then you will get your updated TCC.
And this is once a year, or
I'm not sure on tax office how in terms of the time frame or the expiration date of those TCCs. I think it is on a case-by-case basis. So it depends on what you want that TCC for. Then they'll give you for the duration in which you need it for. But as I said, we need to invite tax offices next time, so at least they can add value where that is concerned.
one more question, acronyms.
It's the same thing. We don't register social enterprises.
Like overseas, you have corporations.
No.
That's one entity.
So we call it limited liability companies out here.
So it's all one.
One.
A corporation and a limited liability company is one. Okay.
Is one are the same.
Okay.
For the registration.
For the registration here.
Okay.
Clear?
Well, we may have new structures later on because, everything changes in life. So therefore, once new things evolve, then the Companies Office will be right in line to register these different types of enterprises that come on board. Because remember, we are trying to be the premier registration point globally.
The act will have to be updated.
Come on.
And streamline those forms. I saw another hand in the back.
Okay. Is there any special requirement for
for a local-based company, if you register a local-based company, but you're planning for that local-based company to be a subsidiary of a foreign company, is there any special requirement for that? Do you have to file any special forms or make your intentions clear?
Well, if you want to be a subsidiary of the overseas company,
Yes.
so is it a case where the overseas company will be registering a branch out here? Because the thing, if it's a case where you're a subsidiary of an overseas, it would indicate that the overseas is operating over there. But we would not have any jurisdiction anywhere other than Jamaica. So if it's a case where the reverse now, where an overseas company wants to be a shareholder of a local company now, if that will be different. So only thing they just need to be recorded. The information would just need to be recorded on the articles of incorporation. And it does ask who the beneficial owners of the overseas company is. So therefore, if it's a case where it's a CEO, you have to indicate on the articles who actually is benefiting from the shares that are being held by said overseas company, who is running that operation. Because you know that we actually now have an anti-money laundering and the task force and all this, and they're trying to ensure that everything is streamlined, where we actually monitor those type of criminal investigations and all of these things. So what we're trying to do is to ensure that persons are held accountable. So gone are the days where persons just come in and register and you don't know who is actually behind these companies. It is now recorded. So on the articles of incorporation, there's actually a form on the page. It indicates where you have to outline who actually owns the companies in which that are being a part of these local companies.
And for the overseas company, if you have several shareholders, you have to list each one individually, or let's shareholders come and go. So in that event, would we have to report the changes?
Yes, you'd have to report if it's a case where a person's either one, give back the shares to the company, or two, do they transfer the shares to another person, or is it the case where three, they forfeit the shares. So those are different forms that are completed, and many persons do go through their accountant to file these forms, or it's a case where samples are available on the website that you can use as a guide in completing these forms.
Okay.
And remember, if it's a case where you want access to our website, you can write it down, www.orc. So can you go to the slide that have questions? FAQ. Perfect. So if you look where you see help, you see an arrow pointing to help. Do you see that? So that is if it's a case where you want to see videos on how to register online, how to do the online portal, anything of the sort that you need assistance with. If you look also, and there's a how-to video as well in terms of doing your registration. So on our website, you go to www.orcjamaica.com. All right, can you go to the one that says find and contact?
Oh, it's the word card, is it?
And you are able to have access to all the forms, and you're able to see all the videos, and you're able to register your business and your companies online. And we're also on social media. So everything that is discussed here, we have little snippets and everything, all of these screenshots, they're also available on all of our social media pages that you're able to use. You're able to interact with us also online.
All righty. So one last question for this segment. Ready?
In regards to nonprofit, if I want to do a nonprofit so I can bring items here to Jamaica for students, would it be best for me to set up my nonprofit in Atlanta or Jamaica? And what is the process?
Well, the process would be the forms that I indicated earlier, the Form 1B and the business registration form, as well as your ID and the submission of the form, which is $24,500. Whether it's a case where it is better for you to establish it in Atlanta and then register a branch of it out here or register it locally, the choice would be yours, because you actually have to go through the Department of Cooperatives and Friendly Societies, sit with them, and you can decide amongst yourself, okay, which one of the structure is better, whether you do it locally, because you'd also have to you'll pay local taxes. If it's a case where you're registered in Atlanta, I'm not sure about a double tax treaty. That's not my forte. So I wouldn't be able to tell you where that part is concerned, which one would be better for you. But I can only advise you if it's a case where you're doing it locally, these are the forms that are required. And if it's a case where you don't have to go through the company's office, you can go to the Department of Cooperatives. They register benevolent societies. And through them, they also provide training for your employees who are offering these services. So they offer a package in and of itself that still allows you to open your bank account and still allow you to get your TRN and all of these wonderful stuff as well.
The TRN was part is I'm going to hear it all. That's every
Yeah, because you would have a personal TRN.
So for a business, your TRN, the business TRN is an extension of your personal TRN. So it would be your personal TRN /1 if it's your first business, /2 if it's a second one. If it's a case where it's a limited liability company or a partnership, you get a totally different TRN number.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was Toni-Ann Stewart-Alexander from the Companies Office of Jamaica, breaking down all the forms, all their fees, all the obligations that we must be cognizant of, because at the end of the day, we want to do things above board, on the books, and in a manner that we can be accountable and audited for, because as we know, there are a lot of people with eyes on us in Jamaica, just ensuring that business is actually happening in a smooth manner. So, of course, we welcome the Montego Bay branch, as opposed to just having one in Kingston alone, to facilitate more. And of course, the new and improved website that you can submit documents on. And just a reminder, that's www.orcjamaica.com. So thank you so much, Tony.
You just watched a clip from Throp-X 2022. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more, click right here. Or right here.